All right, we've got more news to get to. Let's get to the Fed, the Federal Reserve policing itself. This is good, right?
Yeah. Okay. So last week, Federal Chairman Jerome Powell came under fire because it was revealed that he made some stock trades in October 2020, just before the stock market took a tank. And he said, yes, I did that. And it was within normal rules and it was disclosed, but we didn't know about it until nearly a year after. And it smelled very fishy, right? Because he had obviously inklings that the economy was going in a downward slope. Now, the Fed says it put new rules in place to make sure that insiders like Powell can no longer do that. Under new rules, policymakers and senior staff at the Fed cannot buy individual stocks. They can't buy any one piece of anything. So no individual bonds, no market products, including derivatives. They can, however, buy funds, mutual funds, ETFs, anything like that's like a pooled investment. Now, the statement also says that to help guard against even the appearance of any conflict of interest in the timing of investment decisions, policymakers and senior staff will be required to provide 45 days advance notice. So no more like learning about this later for any purchase and sales. They also will have to obtain prior approval for purchases and sales of securities. And they will have to hold their investments for at least 1 year. Also, they will no longer be allowed to make any investments, sales of investments or during periods of heightened financial market stress.
Okay. Well, I don't know. I mean, this seems to be pretty weak, in my opinion.
Why? I mean, this would prevent everything that we saw them do that we would get upset about, right? 45 days advance means you cannot. I mean, you'd have to have a lot of information to know that 45 days in advance. They could not buy and sell any big dips or increases, and during. I mean, or else what, right?
They should not be allowed to invest in the markets that they're overseeing. This is, to me, this speaks right to the heart of this issue, which is this. I mean, first of all, they're aware of and they know that these particular things are going to happen in a market, and then they're able to invest in it. I don't care if it's an ETF, an exchange traded fund.
Right.
That's not like, oh, it's a blind trust. I don't even know what I'm investing in.
It is not a blind trust.
Right. So you can invest in things that are, you can buy into things that you know about. You have an awareness about what's inside of these particular products. And so to me, that still flies in the face of an ethics
What are you saying
problem.
then? They should not invest at all?
I think they should be required to invest in the American people first. And then if they do that, then they're allowed to invest something in the...
That would be nice.
But that's a little vague. I mean, what do you mean by that?
I just think stocks, they're overseeing the stock market.
Yes.
Right? That's their job, is to funnel money to these big banks and they're to keep this market liquid, to make sure that we don't have a crash. They are not even, they're not even elected officials. They control our entire lives by basically these companies, the Federal Reserve basically controls our entire lives, and they get to invest in these things. And then a few days later, or they get to sell these stocks, make millions of dollars. And then a few days later, the market tanks, and they knew what was happening inside of these companies.
I guess, but we are clients of Tom Wheelwright's Wealthability Network. And one of the things that he requires of all of the accountants on his network is that they have to be investors too, because he doesn't want anybody advising other people on their taxes as investors if they are not actively investors themselves, right? And so do you want someone running the market that actually is not in the game?
Yes. I don't need them in the game.
I don't need them to profit from the game, but I also want, you don't want just like the professor type who has never done anything themselves.
Right, but what's wrong with a blind trust?
No, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with a blind trust, but then you're not actually an investor.
Okay, I just think that these things it's a good first few steps, but it does not go far enough. The fact that you can be trading exchange traded funds, ETFs, which, by the way, great. That's actually in many ways a smarter investment anyway than buying up a mutual funds.
Yes.
You're paying less fees, right? An exchange traded fund allows you to get into a pool of other of assets, maybe
correct
housing assets or crypto. I mean, heck, we even saw last week the launch of the Bitcoin futures ETF, right? Mm-hmm. So now you're going to be investing in an ETF that potentially has Bitcoin futures in it, and then you can say we want to regulate crypto.
Yes.
Right? I mean, come on.
I get it. I get it. I'm just,
right.
I'm playing a bit of a devil's
I know, I
advocate
appreciate
because
it.
I do not want these sort of just academic types that don't ever have any skin in the game making decisions for investors. I think that's also dangerous.
No, I totally agree with you. I think Natalie brings up a great point, which is, you go to college, half the time, you're being taught how to be an accountant or a CPA by someone who's never actually been a CPA in the real world. Like,
right.
That's how you're getting your college degree. You're being taught to be a CPA by a person who literally has never been a CPA in the
Yes.
real world, and you're paying thousands of dollars to go to college for these fools. Like, I get that part of it. I just think that it needs to be way more transparent, and I think that blind trust is a perfect opportunity for these people. I also think, as part of this, that Congress needs to do this. Congress needs to do this and take care of this as well. Congress needs to be, a lot of this needs to be taken off the table so Congress can't actually be involved in these trades. This is a big problem. How is Congress able to make millions of dollars? Like, didn't we talk about this, David, here on the show? Like, they made millions of dollars off of trading different stocks that they were basically overseeing, whether it was on the Senate Banking Committee or the House Banking Committee. All of these things are able to oversee this and make millions of dollars off of it.
Yeah, Nancy Pelosi has become a 100 millionaire while in office.
Yeah, wouldn't it be nice?
I think as long as they're in there, they should not be allowed to benefit themselves with stocks or anything. They make their income, their wage from us. They should not be able to take lobby money. They should not have super PACs. They should not have any access to Wall Street, because it just makes it too easy for them to always try to benefit Wall Street if they're taking part in it. And it makes them always go against the people. If the only payment they're getting is from the people and they cannot benefit themselves in any other way, they would work for the people.
Yeah, I mean, look, and I agree with you, and I think Fed Chair Jerome Powell, great. He's made a lot of money, right? He made us money on Wall Street and other places. Good for him, right? When you become the chairman of the Federal Reserve, put those things in a blind trust, and you don't see them. You're not overseeing them. You don't have any access to them. That's what we demand of our presidents in the United States. Why can't the Federal Reserve chief, who by all accounts is even more powerful than the United States president? Let's be honest. At the end of the day. Right, running monetary policy in the United States, we should make sure that these people have their money in a blind trust. And you had a number of people that came forward and resigned in disgrace at the Federal Reserve over the past few weeks, from a bunch of the different Federal Reserve offices, because of profiting off of the very markets that they were overseeing. I just think it flies in the face of honest ethics. Let me know in the chat. Maybe we could don't flip off the viewers, but flip off the members only chat and put it into subscriber only mode. I'd love to hear from our viewers what you guys think about this. Can we even create a poll for the in the chat?
Yes.
Curious.
What 2 questions do you want to know?
Or what one question? I want to know, should the Federal Reserve chief have to keep their investments in a blind trust? Yes or no? You know about that. Put that in the poll. So that's what we're asking. Should they have to put it in a blind trust?
Investments?
That's the question. Yeah, investments in a blind trust. And we'll answer that here in a few minutes. You can tell us in the chat. Thanks for subscribing to the channel. You can also become a channel member by going to morninginvest.com/join, where you can stick it to the mainstream media and support independent journalism. We're able to bring you the stories that you won't see on any of the major billionaire-backed networks. Thanks so much. We'll